These are the dominant 7 with a raised 11th. And these are on the 1, 2, 4, 6 string family on D flat. So we'll start with D flat, B, G, and B flat, which is a common sort of 13 sharp 11 sort of sound. The B flat can go down to A flat for a cluster voicing. The B flat can go up to E flat, and this is common as well. So it's a D flat, B, G, and E flat. And it's sort of related to a D flat major or an E flat 7, like that. So there's some similarities there between those types of chords. Moving along, any of the chords that can get a raised 11th, for instance, this one, F, D flat, B, and E flat, the bass motion can move up to a G. So you can get a sharp 11 that way. Also, E flat, D flat, B, and G. So it's kind of voice exchange in that sense. The G goes down to the low string, the E flat goes up to the high string. So that's another common sound with these type of chords, the sharp 11 type. Moving ahead, obviously F, E flat, D flat, and A flat, with the A flat moving to the G. That's common. Also a D flat with a G in the bass. So that's G, F, D flat, and A flat. The top note can move up to B flat to provide like a G minor 7 flat 5, and also up to a B. So you have a lot of top voice motion that works. Also remember that this would relate to A flat minor major 7, that family of sounds, and it does. Also with B major 7 sharp 5 and G7 sharp 9 type sounds. So this is an A flat minor with a major 7, A flat, E flat, B, and G. And that has the sound of the sharp 11 D flat sort of tonality. And that's very common for that sort of usage. Looking at the G7 sounds a little bit more closely, we said this D flat over the G. So also we have any form of G7 with the the B obviously in it, G, F, E flat, and B. And also we have G, A flat, F, and B, which is like a G7 with a flat 9 sort of a sound that works good. If we go back to a G voicing, G, F, and B, and also an A flat, there's a G7 flat 9, and then put the B flat on top, sharp 9, G, F, B, and B flat. So those move nicely to that sort of a sound. Very easily bringing it down here. And that is sort of a voice exchange with an A flat minor major 7 right there, A flat, G, E flat, and B. And that of course has, if we used a regular chord, it would suggest that sound. We can voice exchange here. So the B and the A flat exchange. So they swap B, G, E flat, and A flat. Now, remember the rule where we can take the minor major 7 and make it a major 7 sharp 5, and it'll work with this sound. So we have a B major 7 sharp 5. We just moved the A flat to B flat. So we have B, G, E flat, and B flat. And if we take the third of that chord and move it to F, which is a whole step up, we have our G7 sharp 9, which has, again, A flat minor major 7, raise the root, becomes B major 7 sharp 5, raise the third, G7 sharp 9. And we can make that a flat 9 too. So if we want to take the B flat back down to A flat, we can. You can hear that it moves right back to the D flat with the sharp 11. A flat minor sounds, obviously clustered sounds will work. So here's the one species that we've been familiar with. This is E flat, A flat, B flat, and B. So this can be planed, obviously, to accommodate the sound. And then, you know, here's an A flat minor major 7 with a 9th type of sound, which sounds good for this kind of family, going back to an original kind of typical chord. This is B, B flat, G, and A flat. So that has the characteristics, again, of that sound. Okay. Likewise, chords like this can be played. The ones we would just seen, F, E flat, B, and D flat. And they sort of have a, later on, that'll be part of the whole tone sort of sound, and that can voice exchange to this. Now remember from the other species, the regular dominant, this would normally be a G flat, but here we make it a G natural because we need the sharp 11 like this. So we can see all that voice motion. D flat, E flat, B, and G. Moves to F, D, E flat, D flat, B, and G. Moves to F, E flat, B, and G. And maybe to an A flat. So it's an F minor 7, flat 5. And here it looks like, again, a whole tone type sound, which falls in line with the other chords, has the sound that we're looking for. So really, any of those, obviously G, F, D flat, and E flat, and that planes down a whole step, and we get that sort of a tonality. We can take one at a time as well. So if we like one of these voicings, for instance, if we like this, and we can take the E flat, D flat, A flat, and B, and we can move that down. So we get sort of a chain cluster off of this, and we get, so each one of them can be planed for a cluster chord like that, cluster type voicings. So those are the basic essentials. There are others. I mean, obviously, this is the A flat type of minor sound as well that we looked at earlier. So this was E flat, B, and B flat, and F. Can now be an A flat minor major 7 with a 9th. And you notice they all sort of have that, this sort of sound. Sounds really good. And you see they all work, as they say. So those are the general essentials. I would rehearse them in each range too. Like for instance, these sounds are very nice. This G, F, D flat, and A flat sound at the bottom of the neck is nice, and it can be, of course, be planed above. And it works out for each of the voicings. So those are the general basics of the D flat dominant 7 sound with a sharp 11 on 1, 2, 4, 6 string family.